Let's bring in Capitol Hill correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. So, Caitlin, you had some reporting this morning of some reaction from Senator Kennedy regarding that ad and his line of questioning with Noem at this hearing, and that he apparently had heard from the president. What can you tell us?
That's right. There was an extremely notable exchange during that Judiciary Committee hearing on Tuesday where John Kennedy, a Republican conservative senator from Louisiana and a close ally of the president, pressed Noem on the agency's spending of over $200 million on television ads that prominently featured Noem. And he asked her whether those were effective in deterring illegal immigration and who approved the spending. And in that committee hearing, Noem, under oath, said that the president did. Now, after that, I spoke to Kennedy, and he told me that he was very upset about this kind of spending and had questions about whether the president had approved it in the first place. Fast forward to today, the president apparently called him, Kennedy said, after that hearing, and in Kennedy's telling, the two stories did not line up. Now, this is significant because as we've been talking about all of the kind of the lists of concerns that lawmakers up here have had about Noem, that exchange and the president paying attention to it seems, at least at this point, to be consequential. Now, I just was speaking with Tom Tillis, who's a Republican from North Carolina. You may remember him in that hearing. He was one of the first Republicans to call for Noem to resign. This is after Minneapolis. I just talked to him at length, and he said that her management was the issue here, that it's not personal, but that she showed that she could not handle this agency. I can also tell you that talking to lawmakers coming out of a lunch where they were just made aware of this news, they are very supportive, Republicans are, of their colleague who now the president announced will head DHS, Markwayne Mullin, a Republican senator up here. He left that lunch in the middle of it, and it appeared he appeared to be on the phone. So this is significant because he will have strong Republican support up here. They just need a majority, simple majority, to approve that. But this is going to be another confirmation battle up here on Capitol Hill to lead the agency at a time where there is no agreement on funding for the agency. So a lot of layers here, but bottom line, that exchange earlier this week with a Republican senator was very consequential when you're looking at the timeline of all of this.
What else can you tell us about Markwayne Mullins of Oklahoma?
That's right. He's a Republican from Oklahoma, served in the House, serves now in the Senate. He is well liked by colleagues. He is a prolific presence on television. He is on air frequently as well, and a close ally of the president, campaigned for him as well. You can see on your screen there. He told our Alan Key earlier this morning he was kind of tight-lipped about all of this. A lot of people we've been talking to up here were learning information as it was being reported out. He told our Alan Key, our Senate producer up here, that earlier today that he had confidence in Noem as long as the president did. And that was kind of echoed by lawmakers we've been talking to, asking if they had confidence in Noem. And their line was, well, she serves at the pleasure of the president. So it is notable, that kind of line of phrasing. So that was starting to give us some clues as to, this will be in the president's court here.
I mean, look, this just happened, but have you heard any reaction yet on Capitol Hill?
I was just talking to a Democratic senator from Maryland. I asked her about whether this changes the dynamics in terms of funding for DHS, and she told me no, that they still have serious issues with the way that the president is running immigration enforcement, that the buck stops with him, not necessarily Noem. So that's what we're trying to report out now. Does this change the fight over DHS funding? Because remember, Democrats had said they're not going to support long-term funding for the agency unless reforms to ICE are put in place. Those negotiations are really at a standstill right now. And there was a thought that perhaps if Noem were ousted, that could change the dynamic. At least in the early reading, my early reading from talking to Democrats right now is that is not shifting the conversation. We'll see what happens as they respond to the appointment of, or the nomination, I should say, of Markwayne Mullin.
Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you so much.